Your Houston Morning News with Matt Patrick continues.
KTRH News Time is 6:47. I want to warn you right now, this is a difficult story to listen to. We are going to be talking about the unborn and how they are disposed of once they leave the abortion clinic. So if that is a discussion that you're not going to want to listen to, I want to warn you right now. Troy Newman, who's the president of Operation Rescue, joins us right now. Troy, first time with us here on Houston's Morning News, at least with me. I thank you for taking the time.
Well, thanks for having me this morning.
You are very welcome. Let's talk about Stericycle. This is the company that will come and pick up the bodies of the unborn and then dispose of them. My understanding is they've been fined. Certain clinics have been fined as well because they are not disposing of the bodies of the unborn the way Texas law stipulates. Do I understand this correctly?
It's absolutely correct. And Stericycle is a nationwide company that really walks lockstep with the abortion clinic, profiting from this horrible trade in human flesh.
Now, what is happening, they are supposed to take the bodies, and again, this is difficult to hear, but they are supposed to steam them before they are disposed of. Stericycle, to my understanding, at least in Austin, where a lot of this took place, they don't have a license to do this.
Well, not only do they have a license to do it, they were fined $43,000 for improperly taking these babies' bodies and putting them into the landfills. There's a whole set of environmental procedures that must be followed to take human pathogens. In other words, the blood-borne pathogens, the human remains, anything that would deal with human remains that could infect the rest of the population. And they negligently handled these babies' bodies and then put them into landfills, which would really expose the rest of us to any blood-borne pathogens that would be inside the remains of these children.
If that isn't bad enough, Troy, I'm sorry, but the problem that I have is they're just being treated like garbage. I mean, it's bad enough that these are the unborn, these are aborted fetuses to begin with, but then to just throw them into a landfill is beyond comprehension to me. See, our decisions have consequences. Once you start down this road of treating unborn children like garbage or just a choice to be taken out and thrown away, it leads to all sorts of other horrible consequences. And what else are we going to do with them, really? And that's what's happening. In America, we treat the unborn children like trash. And not only in theory, but physically, they wind up in our landfills. They should be given the dignity that every human baby should be afforded. And that's a birthday and cherished and loved like every child ought to be. Troy Newman, who is the president of Operation Rescue. Troy, when we come back, I want to ask you what you recommend we do in the short term until we can overturn Roe v. Wade. It is Troy Newman, the president of Operation Rescue, joining us this morning. We're talking about the disposal of the unborn, a difficult conversation to have. Troy, thanks for joining us. What do we do in the short term?
Well, abortion clinics are nothing more than a criminal enterprise, and they have been since 1973. The 40-year experiment of Roe versus Wade in America is an utter failure. Now, Texas is well on their way to doing the right thing, and you guys just passed a great sonogram law, which says that every woman considering an abortion must first see pictures of their unborn baby. Now, what that does is, in our estimation, 65% of the women who see that baby boy or girl fall in love with that baby and refuse to have an abortion.
Troy,
go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Well, the second thing that we can do is prosecute these criminal enterprises. We have done an independent investigation throughout Texas and found over 10 abortionists violating state law. In other words, they refuse to inform the women about fetal development. They refuse to properly represent to the woman what the baby is, or to even wait the 24-hour waiting period as required by state law. And so these 10 abortionists are under criminal investigation by the Texas Medical Board. And so first, enforce the law and prosecute the criminals. That will go a long way in saving babies and keeping the babies out of the landfills.
Troy, thank you for your great work with Operation Rescue. Thanks for coming on with us here this morning. Look forward to talking with you again.